Okay, we're here today. This is for Woma TV. I'm with the legend himself, the king of the chicken wing, the master of 1,000 holes, and a person I'm actually really proud to say is my friend. It's Mr. Erik Paulson, the man himself. Erik, thanks for giving us a bit of time here.
My pleasure.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just start at the beginning, right? So, how did you get into martial arts?
1974, I started martial arts. My mother actually, I was actually playing all these different sports, hockey, football, and baseball, and my mom said, hey, there's judo, you should try it out. I go, Mom, I don't need another sport. She goes, you should try it out, it's an individual sport. I was getting disappointed because I was on a football team or a hockey team, and if I didn't start and I didn't play the game and our team lost, I was still considered a loser because we lost.
Yeah.
And I said, how am I a loser? How am I getting chewed out and I didn't even get to play? So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do something for myself. So my mom got me involved into judo and I started competing in judo.
Yeah, and then we're gonna fast forward a little bit. Are you watching this? Jump on the podcast as well, because we mentioned it on the podcast. So you started in judo, then you were doing some karate, right?
Yeah, I did taekwondo for about almost 13 years, and gymnastics at the same time, boxing, karate, gymnastics, and judo.
Yeah, and then you were a huge Bruce Lee fan, yeah?
Yes, I was. I bought all the Bruce Lee combat books and then the Tao of Jeet Kune Do.
Right, and then this is going to lead us into how you met the man himself, Rick Fay. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was in 1982. I was training at my karate school, and I was getting ready for my black belt, and they said they had a special seminar there, and the special seminar was basically Rick Fay coming in, and I think every 2 weeks or every month would come in and teach a class to the advanced guys, and it was all Kali, trapping, limb destruction, weapons, and Thai boxing. So when I saw him move, I thought he was a boxer, and then I saw him do the limb destructions and the trapping. I go, that's definitely Bruce Lee. And then the weapons, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm really into that. And then I saw him do empty hand, and I went, I need to learn that.
Yeah.
And then the next week, I quit karate and then started training with Rick.
That was it. And Greg Nelson was there at the time.
Greg Nelson was there.
But you already recognized him, you said.
Greg Nelson and I competed against each other in gymnastics.
In gymnastics? Did you have to wear the singlet, or?
Yes, I did, and it buttoned underneath my gooch.
That'll lead us in later when I ask you about your modeling, but
full-blown moose knuckle. But we had the tight white leotards with the stirrups on the bottom.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. If you don't mind sharing the story, we talked about it on the way down in the car, but you walked in, and Rick and Greg were sparring.
They were sparring with all the hockey equipment on, and they were stick and knife sparring. And then they threw their stuff down, they hit the ground, they disarmed each other, and they were punching each other and grappling. And I was like, holy crap, I want to do that stuff. And they go, hey, there's that weird kid with feathered hair. And they walked over and kicked me out of the school.
And you had to wait on the sidewalk outside?
No, it wasn't a sidewalk, it was in the building.
Right.
And I had to go look at the wall of spit where everyone would train and then walk in and spit. You gotta figure Minnesota, everyone eats dairy and tons of cheese.
Oh.
So yeah, it was like a wall of whale blubber.
Oh God, you just mentioned something now, I just got to mention it. Earlier this year I was over with our mutual friend Ty Campos. Yeah, awesome guy. Ty, told you I'll make you famous, right?
Ty.
And sorry, but I'm going to give a shout out to his daughter Ava Lynn, right? She's actually now my favorite. Yeah, she's my favorite member of the Campos family now. Sorry, Ty. But he was eating. Enjoy your trip. Yeah?
This camera when you do it.
Yeah, right. So, sorry. Right. Sorry. He was eating corn, and I didn't. You guys in the Midwest love eating corn. What's all that about?
Well, the worst is when you wake up in the morning and you go to the bathroom, number 2, and you look down and there's corn in your poo, and you go, wait a minute, I don't remember eating corn yesterday. And then you realize it was like 2 weeks ago.
And is that how long it takes to get through the system?
I don't know. Well,
I don't know, you Midwest guys.
They eat a lot of cheese, so it slows your metabolism down.
Right, so we're gonna get away from the dairy products and the corn, and we're gonna go back to Greg Nelson and Rick Fay. So how long did you train with Rick?
I was with Rick since '82. to about 80, probably late 85.
Late 85, and then you had the call of the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I went to California for spring break and got hooked, and then packed my bags and moved to Palm Desert.
Yeah, well, I liked what you said. You went back after spring break and you had a suntan, and
everyone was like, "You are the coolest guy in the world. In the middle of winter, you're totally tan."
Yeah, and that was it. And you were like, "Where have you been?" And you were like, "Palm trees."
Yeah, palm trees, fresh oranges and avocados picked off the tree, and fresh salsa and fresh tortillas made by my uncle.
Really?
Yeah.
And you didn't even have the Mall of America in Minneapolis then?
No.
Yeah, that was I would say there wasn't a lot going on around the winter time in Minneapolis.
No, that wasn't there. So
no.
That's why I moved, because the mall wasn't there yet.
And then how did you meet Guru and Osanto?
Well, I read about him, and then I met him in 1986. I met him at the Dan Timlin Mid-Michigan camp, 1985, I went to the camp, and I trained with Guru Dan, Sifu Rick, Sifu Larry Hartzell, Salim Astley, Nino Bernardo.
Yeah, and Nino's back over there now.
I know.
He's just resurfaced. I think he's
from the basement.
From the he was in the basement back in the day. Before anyone thinks that that's like some Joseph Fritzl situation, it wasn't.
It wasn't. The basement was the name of his school.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
his Kwoon.
It was a Kwoon, yeah. It was a Kwoon, because he was famously he was doing Kali and Wing Chun at the same time, wasn't he?
It was like Sifu Fang, kind of.
Yeah, very similar to Sifu Francis. So then, were you just at the Inosanto Academy all the time?
No, so I was in Palm Desert. I was training. So there wasn't anything out there. So in Palm Desert, I was training in karate, and there was a local boxing club, Coachella Boxing. I was going down there, and then a friend of mine came in and he said, "Hey." He saw me training, he goes, "That isn't Taekwondo." And I went, "You're right, it's not." And he said, "Where'd you train?" I said, "Rick Fay." He goes, "Well, Tim Tackett's in Redlands, an hour away, you wanna go?" So I ended up going to Tim Tackett's garage every Wednesday night and training with him and Bert Poe. And I got some really great, unbelievable training.
Because Bert Poe's, he's
the real deal.
He is a real deal, yeah.
He brought bags of teeth and scalps to class one day.
I've heard this story, yeah. I remember you telling me years ago, I hope that you don't mind me sharing it, but you said that when you went to Tim Tackett's, these guys were loving you because you had like really, really high pain compliance.
Yeah, I had high pain tolerance. Well, Bert liked me the most because he would grab me and try to pinch me and twist my cheek, and I would just look at him. And he's like, "Oh, good pain tolerance. You must be from Minnesota. You're a Swede."
And then
my nickname was Swede. My buddy's last name was Weiss. It was German.
Right.
That's what Bert called us, Swede and German.
Swede and German, yeah. And then when did you start training at the Inosanto Academy?
I went to the Jet Center first, and I trained with Benny the Jet.
Oh, right.
Yep, Sensei Benny and Ruben, his brother, God rest his soul, and I was with Ruben and Sensei John and Benny, and then
because Benny he's still way ahead of his time.
Definitely.
The way he thinks about everyone thinks he's just a kickboxer, but he's just very scientific approach to his training and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And did that influence you in your competitive career? Do you think?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I like the way they broke the 14 count cover drill that I teach.
Yeah.
From Benny's.
Really, I didn't know that. Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
So. Then when I was in town from Palm Desert, I drove to Benny's, and then I drove to the Inosanto Academy, and then I drove by, and there was a thing on the window that said there was a Shuto workshop. It said punching, salto, submission. And I had a guy throwing a punch, a kick, a suplex, and a submission. And I go, "Wow, that looks interesting. I'm very interested to do it." So I took it. That was the first Shudo seminar that Sensei Yuri Nakamura taught. And I took that first seminar. And at that time, I was also driving back and forth from Palm Desert to the Gracie's garage.
Yeah.
And so I had joined the Inosanto Academy. And then 1988, 89, I moved to LA to train at the Inosanto Academy.
And at the time, did you realize that you were like, literally, this is history in the making, or were you just training?
Just training. I got to train with Pendecker Paul Detroit. He taught the C-Lot in the mornings, and then I got to train with Sexon Gennaro in North Hollywood Muay Thai. He was my Thai boxing coach. later on, Rob Kamen became my Thai boxing training partner.
Okay,
yeah, I used to spar with him.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Rico Ciparelli, and then Seafood Larry Hartzell, Yuri Nakamura, Hickson, later on the Machados.
That's just a who's who.
Guru Dan and Asano.
But we see, we talked about this on the car on the way down. You know, Guru Dan's been, he's elevated. I have this saying, and it's a real cliched saying, but you know, great men inspire others to greatness, or great people inspire others to greatness. And he's elevated so many guys who were, you know, they were great individuals, but they weren't getting the exposure.
Well, I always knew I wanted to fight, so when I went to the Asano Academy, anytime there was talk, or we'd spar all the time, but anytime there was talk of possibly doing some competition, I was like, yeah, please. And then when I saw the Shudo and they handed me the tape, I watched it. It was punching, kicking, throwing, and submission. I go, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to Japan, and I'm going to fight in Japan. So I sent a video to Japan to Sayama.
Yeah.
Sensei Sayama, and all of a sudden, I didn't get a response. And then a year later, they said, we want you to come to Japan and fight. You need to have a teammate. And I go, well, who's going to be my teammate? And he goes,
Phil Norman, you're a bad man. Yeah?
So he goes, blower's cramp. He's got blower's cramp. So he goes, you're going to go to Japan with Chad Stahelski. And I go, well, Chad's great striking. He's got good throws, but he doesn't have any ground. And they go, you're going to help him out, and he's going to help you with the striking. So we were the first two Americans to fight in Japan in Shudo.
Yeah, and Chad Stahelski now?
He is the director for John Wick and John Wick 2.
Wow.
And yeah, John Wick and John Wick 2. Did all the Matrixes, the Avengers, the Hunger Games, Damon Caro, my other training partner, Dave Leach. Same thing, directing, doing movies. Damon did Superman, Batman versus Superman, and now Aquaman.
Wow.
So these guys are top of their game in Hollywood.
Well, I'm going to quickly, because we are really short on time today, but I'm going to get you, if you don't mind, sharing the story, because we were on about Van Damme, and he wanted you to be in what movie?
The Quest.
Yeah, and yeah, but
I was fighting in Japan at the time, so I got back, they recast the movie, and then as soon as I got back, after they recast the movie, that was it. It was too late.
Yeah,
I didn't get the part.
And
But I got Baywatch right after that.
You got
Baywatch, and I got my SAG card from Baywatch, which started American Ninja and all the other movies I did. I did a bunch of other parts in movies as stunts.
Share the story about how you did your shoulder.
Bloodsport 3. Yeah, I got thrown. Corey, got thrown in American Ninja 5 and landed on my shoulder. My shoulder went out. Tadashi Yamashita walked up and said, "You need to move your arm." And he just took it out of the sling and he went like this, and I was better.
And he fixed you?
Yeah, he fixed me.
That's Ninja Mojo.
That's right.
And you were the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed ninja.
Green ninja in the movie.
Yeah, and when you were in Baywatch, your claim to fame is you fought
David Hasselhoff. I fought David Hasselhoff on the pier. I was a drug smuggler. And I got bicycle kicked off the pier from David Hasselhoff on the San Pedro pier.
Really?
Yeah.
And what about Michael Dudikoff? Did you ever beat him?
I never fought him. It was David Bradley.
David Bradley. Yeah. I tell you what, if you're an 80s action fan, there's some great names there. There's some great names there. Yeah. But are we going to be wrapping up in a minute, are we? Or how long we got? We need to be wrapping up. Well, first of all, big thanks to Erik for this.
You're welcome.
Big thanks to Tonya.
You guys keep an eye out. I have Josh Barnett fighting Ben Rothwell on January 30th. So he will be fighting in the UFC.
Yeah.
Josh Barnett, UFC, coming up January 30th, Ben Rothwell.
And we're going to do this for posterity right now. Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo. What are you saying?
I'm thinking Jose Aldo because of his experience, but McGregor, with what he believes in and how much he believes, he's a formidable opponent, and everyone's going to watch him.
Yeah, you know what? Never, ever, ever discount the Irishman in a fight.
And the fact that they believe in themselves so much. And you're not only fighting an Irishman, you're fighting all of Ireland.
Well, Erik, I'd just like to say, this sounds really cheesy, but Erik's a huge influence on me, along with, Terry Barnett, Rick Fay, and Danilo Santo, and I wouldn't be the person I am today. And that's the truth. And like, testament, just doing this, talking to you guys, I wouldn't be here. I'd be doing Taibo or something like that if it wasn't for Erik.
Bow tie. Where Taibo came from, you'd be doing
bow tie.
Bow tie.
Bow tie. And if you want to just give a quick shout out to your CSW program.
Yeah, erikpaulsen.com. Check it out. I've got a bunch of different sites, but erikpaulsen.com will lead you to them.
Yeah.
I have a big association, so you can check it out. Thank you very much.
And everyone's welcome.
Listening to our miracle words.
That's it, miracle words.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Wait a minute, Erik, can we just do that? I'm really trying to, I'm trademarking this and I'm going to make some money out of it.
You gotta go like this.
Well, trust me, Erik Paulson, half of the t-shirts in MMA can be attributed straight back to this guy here. Yeah? Am I
I just
right?
have a creative mind and I have a bunch of ideas, so sometimes they end up on shirts.
There you got it. There you are.